Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, we get to compare this year's Ohio State team, which everyone is very excited about, and it's getting projected as number one in the country by some of these rating systems and all that kind of stuff. And we're going to do something difficult. We're going to compare them to a team that we already saw win a national championship. So, Tony, this is your idea. This is your way to spread some, just bad vibes. I guess it's the anti-rat poison. This is one where Nick Saban cannot be upset with you because you're going to tell everyone all the reasons why this year's Ohio State team not as good as the one from 2 years ago.
Yeah, do I need to do this with a Lou Holtz lisp to talk about how great the opponents are and how bad the team that I cover is?
I'd like to know where Tony Gerdeman is right now.
He's right here with you.
Oh,
And if
oh,
you are here with
he's,
us, hit the
he's
thumbs
at
up.
BuckeyeInsiders.com. How about that?
There you go. And you can find us at BuckeyeInsiders.com right now. The site is live. Sign up, become a member. Would love to see you there. It is the absolute best way to support what we do. And I say sign up right now before I make you angry with this discussion about looking at a tale of the tape between the 2026 Ohio State defense and the 2024 Ohio State defense. And the thing is, Tom, as we're doing this, keep in mind the 2025 defense is probably like, we could take those guys. We could take those guys, So the 2026 versus 2024 is interesting because we saw how good a defense can be in 2025 and not win it all. So you can have the best defense in the country and still not win it. So that is not necessarily what you need to have, but we know the 2024 team won a national championship. Now, would the 2026 team need to go back in time to 2024 to win a national championship when we're comparing them to that defense, or could they perhaps win it in their own timeline? I think they could, Tom, but this is a different exercise. We're just comparing one versus the other. You don't need to get all metaphysical. Defensive line is JT Tuimoloau, Jack Sawyer, Tyleik Williams, Ty Hamilton. You're going to be hard-pressed to find a better starting four, more consistent, more sound, play as a unit, never getting like out over their skis or freelancing, just where they need to be, and we're paying for offensive linemen. We don't know as much about this year's defensive line because of James Smith and Edric Houston finally being healthy and in the same spot for a full cycle now, and what he could be. John Walker, Will Smith, the defensive ends, which I think there's plenty of talent there, but what we've seen of these guys, we've only seen little bit. So I would side on the 2024 defensive line, but I think the 2026 defensive line, I think there's some real potential there that could make it interesting.
Yeah, I think you have to go with 2024 just because it's a lot of potential. It's a lot of could be. It's a lot of, boy, I think we will see, but you haven't seen it yet. There's not a ton of proven guys there. There's lots of reasons, as you said, to think that guys are going to have bigger years this year. But we already know JT Tuimoloau, 21 and a half tackles for loss, 12 and a half sacks. Jack Sawyer, 9 sacks. A few impactful plays, as you may recall, over the years. But
Name two.
I don't know, boy. I don't know. If you can think of any friends watching on YouTube, leave those in the comments. I can't think of a single one right now off the top of my head. But it's very difficult to say, yeah, these guys are for sure going to be as good as those guys. I think they have the possibility to be there. I think that you've got, with James Smith, I think we can sort of lump Quay Rousseau in with this group as well, with a healthy Edric Houston, with Kenyatta Jackson, I think is going to have a very, very big year. And you've got lots of potential at the other defensive end spot, but Kenyatta Jackson and a lot of potential is not, you can't put that even with JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer, knowing what those guys did. So, I think this is an easy 2024 for me right now. And then let's see where it stands in the middle of October, end of October.
Yeah, Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson as the backups on defensive end there on that one. Just solid depth throughout there. Moving to linebacker, and frankly, I guess we can talk about 3 linebackers because they've played 3, but middle linebacker in 2024, Cody Simon, Will being Sonny Styles, and then Arvell Reese as that third guy. Cody Simon was the first team All Big Ten. Sonny Styles was second or third team. Arvell Reese had had 43 tackles. He was not a non-factor. He was not a non-factor, but he was the third linebacker. This year, we have no idea who that third linebacker is going to be. It's going to be one of maybe three different guys, and it could be a couple different guys all the time in terms of they just share that role. Your middle linebacker is Peyton Pierce. Your Will, who knows at this point, right? So there's one known guy, and then we still got to figure out what all of the rest of it looks like. I like all of the parts, but I can't go against the 2024 linebackers right now. I think 2026 could again come close, but right now there are way too many unknowns to take them.
Yeah, this is one where, I mean, Cody Simon had a great season, but I think you could find a Cody Simon type
Mhm.
performance out of this group of linebackers. And I think, Sonny Styles was very good this in the 2024 season. He was otherworldly in 2025, but no one was talking about him as a top 5 draft pick coming out of 2024. So, he took another major step last year. So you got to kind of dial him back a little bit from the performance you're remembering for 2025. This is one where I think they could absolutely get there this year because they have so many different potential guys. Could you get a 2024 Arvell Reese performance out of TJ Alford, out of Riley
Mhm.
Pettyjohn? Absolutely, you could. You could maybe get better than what you got out of Arvell Reese, out of those two guys. That doesn't mean that you're going to have that incredible leap in 2027 that you got out of Arvell Reese from 24 to 25. But again, we're just comparing with the 24 season. So this is a group that, again, there's a lot of unproven. There's a little bit of uncertainty there in terms of where these different guys are going to slot in. But I think this is a group where you could, again, middle of the season, towards the end of the season, if things fall right, there's enough different talent in that room, enough depth of talent in that room, and enough potential high end talent in that room that I think you could potentially see this group overtake 2024. But I am definitely not willing to put my name on that one just yet.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a flyer, a futures bet type of thing where I could see it happening. I'm not saying it is, but if it does happen, I'm going to say I told you so. Let's
Absolutely.
yeah, let's talk about corners. Which here's I think Ohio, the 2026 team has a shot here because the 2024 starting corners Denzel Burke and Davison Igbinosun. You expect Devin Sanchez to step in for Davison Igbinosun, who left last year. Jermaine Matthews has already stepped in for Denzel Burke. Done similarly, I would say, and has not been an All American, but has not been somebody you're like, oh, they got to get him out of there. Like, there's nobody better. I know there's been some frustrations, but there have been frustrations for regarding Burke as well. But I think when you look at 2024, the third corner there is Jermaine Matthews as a true freshman. The third corner here, Dominic Kelly. I think the I'm going to go ahead and I think right now they're pretty even, and that's with the understanding that the 2024 corners won a national title and they were all repeating they're returning starters in terms of Burke and Igbinosun. If you were to say you could have one room or the other, I'm going to say give me the 2026 room.
Yeah, I'm there too. And I think you have to, we talked about this on the last show, you have to sort of price in. We've seen all these guys win a national championship, and the 2026 room is we haven't seen Dominic Kelly do a single meaningful thing on the field at Ohio State. But you look at that 2024 room, and I can tell people are getting their back up to have an argument about this in the comments. I will invite you to go back and review what you were saying about Denzel Burke after the game at Oregon, or what you were saying about Davison Igbinosun after any number of individual plays where referees were reaching for
Mhm.
penalty flags. And, this is a group this year where I think this is going to be a really solid group. I don't think this is the single most talented cornerback room in Ohio State history or anything like that. But I think this is a pretty darn good cornerback room. And I think you've got some decent depth there where you're not just relying on a true freshman to come in like you were in 2024 with Jermaine Matthews. You're relying on a guy to come in and to who has played a little bit at Georgia, had that sort of first year, has gone through the whole year of strength and conditioning and all that kind of stuff. So he should be probably a little ahead of where Jermaine Matthews was. And it just looking at the other corners, I think Devin Sanchez, I think Jermaine Matthews are going to be at least as good as the two guys were in 2024. And this is one where if things break right, this is one that at the end of the year, we could, if we revisit this show, we could be saying this is an easy 2026.
Yeah, I would agree. And that takes us to the safeties. And boy, including the nickel. I'm not sure Ohio State's ever going to have a group as good, as smart, as talented, as timely as Caleb Downs, Lathan Ransom, and Jordan Hancock. They complemented each other perfectly, and we're just like replacing them. You're like, you hope you can just find somebody. You're not going to find somebody better, and you're probably not going to find somebody as good. The hope is like they can communicate as well, they can produce as well. Understanding like you're not going to find another Caleb Downs. Maybe you can find another Lathan Ransom, but this is a guy that's been playing forever. He was playing during the COVID year in 2020, dealt with injuries, but was just smart and impactful. I think the play against Texas on the second down by the goal line where they blow up the running play. Caleb Downs blows it up and Lathan Ransom finishes it. Like they were perfect together. It's a different kind of safety situation because neither one of them was a necessarily like a center fielder who's going to cover a bunch of ground. They both love to hit and love to be involved in the running game. And saying all of that, I'm really excited to see what the Buckeyes have and do at safety this year because I like all of the parts and the pieces, and I like Matt Patricia. And I think they could put up some crazy numbers and look really good. And they may be the best safety room in America, but I can't put anybody over the 2024 safeties.
Well, yeah, we've done a bunch of shows talking about how excited we are about Earl Little and Terry Moore and Jalen McClain being incredibly underrated because he's been the guy sort of in Caleb Down's shadow for a couple of years, and now he's no longer in Caleb Down's shadow and is sort of ready to sort of take a big step. And he's one of three guys going to the Big Ten Media Days this year, which that tells you an awful lot. He's the only guy on defense going to Big Ten Media Days. That tells you a whole lot about where they view his role on this year's defense. And I think, as you said, I think this could be the best safety room in America by the end of the season. And I mean, it could be before then. There's just a lot of projection because it's two guys that we have not seen have to do a lot. We saw them in spring. We got it. We understand. But Terry Moore took a little longer to get up to speed than we were expecting in the spring. Earl Little was, I think the expectations for Earl Little are very, very high. Again, I think this could be a really, really phenomenal Ohio State safety unit. But the 2024 Ohio State safeties, it's not quite the Orlando pace. You don't ever comp anyone to this, but any safety room with Caleb Downs and a couple other really, really good guys is like, this is really not a fair benchmark to try and hold someone to.
No, certainly not. And you had Lorenzo Styles as the dime. I'm just scrolling. Like Malik Hartford was a backup on that team as well. Just boy, those safeties just really, really good. Tom, let's move to the special teams, which I mean, we can also talk about the return game, which is something that might be back, which would be great if it was. But the punter is going to be the same. Joe McGuire was the starting punter in 2024. He'll be the starting punter this year. Last year, he averaged 42 yards a kick. The year before, he averaged 42 yards a kick. I'm guessing he's going to be around 40 to 44 yards a kick this year, maybe between 41 and 43, something like that. 42.2 to 42.7, somewhere in that range. That's kind of a wash. Jaden Fielding versus Connor Hawkins. I know the way that people are going to go. Fielding, I think that year was, I think he missed 5 field goals.
13 for 17 that year.
Okay. And the return game, there really wasn't necessarily any. They had 15 kickoff returns for 10 yards a return, which is why even bother. Brandon Ennis led the team with an average of like 15 yards a return. Caleb Downs had the one punt return touchdown, kind of as not a fluke, but and then Brandon Innes 7.6 yards a punt return back then. If Legend Bay gets involved, and it sounds like they will involve him, if I like it, I'll believe Brandon Innes is not your punt returner when I see it. He's been the main guy the last 2 years, 14 returns in 24, 17 last year. And frankly, 10.7 yards a return last year, it's not terrible. Maybe he hits a big one. The kicking game, I think, is improved. The return game, I think, is improved. Coverage, who knows? It's always you'll find out when you find out. It should be okay, but sometimes we've seen over the years it hasn't been okay, and then you've got to get it fixed. And they've got a coordinator seeming that could fix stuff that is going on and won't be tied between like, well, I'm actually the linebackers coach and I've got to work on that. I'll get to the coverage on Wednesday or something like that. They've got the dedicated resources to fix those issues. So I'm going to take 2026 over 2024 in the special teams.
Yeah, I am as well. And, you look at Jaden Fielding only missing 4 field goals that year, and one of them was from 50 something yards in the 21-degree game against Tennessee. So it's like he only missed 3 field goals. How much better could you be? Like, well, he missed 2 of them against Michigan in a game they lost by 3 points. So like, oh boy, that would be that's one where go ahead and miss an extra one against Grambling or something like that. Connor Hawkins, I think, is certainly the expectation is that he's going to be an improvement at the kicking position. Punting, as you said, probably a little bit of a wash. Maybe Joe McGuire's, a little better than he was a couple of years ago. The return game, the benchmark is just not that high, and the tie goes to the team that has the full-time special teams coordinator, which I know has not always been the case in the history of Ohio State football in the last 5 years or so, but you got Robbie Disher, who you brought in very intentionally. He was not like an internal guy who you were looking to find a role for. This is someone who they brought in who was a successful special teams coordinator at Illinois. So you would sort of expect a little bit more creativity potentially there. And if you're paying for a guy like that, that tells me you are interested in having stuff happen there. This is not just a unit that is just sort of okay, catch the ball and hand it to the offense kind of thing. This is a unit where you're probably looking to make some things happen this year because you're looking at enough potential close games, one-score games that special teams could end up making a huge difference for the Buckeyes this fall. And yeah, I'm with you. There have not been very many where I've looked at it and said I'm already comfortable with putting 2026 over 2024. This is one where I'm saying yes. Give me the 2026 special teams.
Yeah, it's 1/3 of the game and like 1/0 of the budget. Like, no. You got to spend a little bit on it. So there you go. I think defensively, there are more opportunities for the 2026 team and in special teams as well to be better than the 2024. The 2024 team just had some special units where good luck being better than the running backs, good luck being better than those wide receivers, good luck overcoming as much adversity as that offensive line did and still come through. And you look at the defensive line for 2024 and it's those guys produced. They weren't monster numbers and there weren't monster numbers before 2024 as well, but they stepped up when the opportunities were there, when the games were on the line. And yet that 2024 team also lost 2 games. So there's that. They were so good that they lost twice in their first 12 games. So if they can do it, anybody can. That's not the point I'm trying to make. But there you go. Go ahead. You got one last thing.
I'm just glad you're not dividing by 0 anymore. That is not a thing you can do. Just to get that on the record for everyone.
You can with special teams. So what do you guys think when you look at 2024 position by position in terms of the defense versus the 2026 team? How do you think the 2026 Buckeyes are going to fare? If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and throw those comments in there and we will take a look at those. You can email us. You can DM us on Twitter. We're available. Or you can also find us at BuckeyeInsiders.com, where we are constantly available on the message board there. Would love to see you there. As I said, it is, if you want to support what we do, and we thank you, those of you who have, thank you for watching, thank you for the interaction, all of that. If you want to give even more, you can become a member and say hello to us there. We would love to see you. So that will do it from here. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.